Said, how the heck are ya? Me, I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself? Um, yeah, just got off work. Anyway, I know you saw the title of this one, Lions, Tigers, and Bears on my map. That was really clickbait. Oh, draw you in. Yeah. This was really going to be about, in case there's any small children in the room thinking that this is going to be like Dorothy and Toto. It's really going to be about racists, fascists, Nazis, and communists. Just clear the kids out of the room, okay? Don't want to have nightmares going on. Let's get this started. Alrighty. Yeah. Did a little follow up on my little rant I had a while back on this, these Antifa and so forth. And when you stick your head in that rabbit hole, it goes a little deeper than you think. And so I thought I'd crawl in there and see what was going on just to be nosy. Not that it's going to affect me because I don't hang out in big cities. All right. And if they come down here, we'll just kind of go, welcome to the state of Tennessee. Enjoy your stay as long as you're here. Basically, what you got. We've always had the KKK. I mean, for heaven's sakes, those guys, have been around forever. And they've pretty much gotten in so much trouble with the law and sued so bad that they're just really, there's pockets of them. They need to go away, seriously. Don't get mad at blacks over the stuff the government does, because they're the ones who do this kind of nonsense and stir stuff up. Don't be mad at individual people. There's lots of really great people out there, and you're missing an opportunity to get to know some. Neo-Nazis. I'd say move to Germany, but then throw your butt in prison. Okay, I don't know what you need to do. Grow up, maybe. Get an education, maybe that would help. Understand that the rest of the thinking Americans don't agree with you, so why don't you just sit down and shut the heck up? Nobody's interested in what you have to say. Although I'll defend your right to say it, because I don't mind you standing up. And Mark Twain had a saying, and I really loved it. It's better for a man to keep his mouth shut and appear a fool than to open it and remove all doubt. And every time I've heard one of you clowns speak, that comes to mind. You needed to keep your mouth shut and just look like a fool. Because when you start talking, no doubt in my mind what you are. So we got Nazis. The fascists, you got a lot of sides involved in that. Some of the SJW stuff, willing to give up their rights, what few they have left. And you really, seriously, don't have many left. All right? You think you're in the constitutional republic. That ended after the Civil War. Gone. Period. You have basically one right, and that's to do what you're told. And even though you think the government's listening to you, they're not. They could really care less about what you have to say. Wake up. Smell the coffee. Understand. They're not your buddy. Okay? And he got Antifa out there. And they're really right there in with the fascists by the way they act. But actually, no, they're actually acting just like what they really are. And something they don't like to talk about on TV, and they really don't like to put it a lot out in their literature, a little bit, but don't want to get crazy with it, because that makes them look like, I don't know, genocidal idiots. They're Marxist communists, is what Antifa really is. Marxist communists. That's all they are, folks. That's what they believe in. That's why they want to bring this country down to its knees. Because they think Marxist communists is the way to go. Now they're going to say socialists, as most good communists do, because they don't want to use the word communist, because most people look at history and go, oh, that has never worked out well at all, ever. And a lot of people usually die from it. Okay? Gee. And these young kids are running around thinking being a Marxist communist is a good idea. You know, Putin doesn't even think that's a good idea. Okay? And when you look deep into his eyes, all you see is like KGB. All right? You guys think this is good. You're idiots. Okay? You have spent money going to college to come out of the other door an idiot if you've come out the other door. I've heard some of you speak. I don't believe you ever got your high school diplomas. Folks, that's what you got going on with these people. That's the reason for their violence. Okay? God save you if a group like this ever really came to power in this country. Okay? Because you'll either, kind of sounds a little like radical Islam. You'll either follow their lead and be a part of their little movement, or you'll be dead. That's their attitudes. It's about time to end this nonsense. Okay? These people need to start waking up to the fact that this is America. And for all of its faults, okay, we need to desperately cling to our rights, what we have left. And we need to start taking our rights back away from this tyrannical government that's running this stuff. Okay? And I'm not going to get into it in this video or probably any other video because I don't want to get my site taken down. But this is going on since the Civil War. Contrary to what you were told, it was about states' rights. Okay? And I want you to apply a little bit of horse sense here, just for a moment, on this topic. The average person in the southern states, number one, okay, in the early 1860s, before the Civil War, before secession, do you realize that on average, the wealth of this country was located in the Confederate States? On average, median wage in New York was $500 a year. $500 a year. In the southern states, like Mississippi, $2,200 a year. So much for the poor Southerners, huh? They weren't poor. And some people would say, well, yeah, it's because you had slave labor. Okay, let's include the slaves. Okay? If you include the slaves in it, you've reduced it by about $500. Well, that's still 3 times more than you'd make in New York City. So Southerners were doing pretty good. They're very prosperous. All right? And most Southerners worked agriculture. That was what they did for a living. Now, why would a guy that works agriculture be all for slavery? Because without those slaves, he'd have more money. Because they'd have to hire him. You think the average Southerner was, oh yeah, great to have slaves, taking my work away from me? Common sense, folks. The average Southerner that fought in the Civil War was not a fan of slavery. Okay? Even just for pure economic reasons. It was not good for his pocket. All right? So think again. Would maybe tariffs on goods that was exported out of the South paying for 90% of the federal government back then? 90% of the federal budget? Some say 80, but that's where the federal government got its money? From the southern states? Wow. What do you think would happen today if a group of people stood up and told the federal government, we're going to stop paying taxes. We're going to secede from your union, and we're not going to give you any money. And they sat down and looked at their books and said, oh my God, that is our money. That's most our money. Well, do some research, folks. Okay? Slavery as an issue wasn't injected into the venue until 3 years into the war. And that was primarily because Europe was getting ready to come down and kick the heck out of their blockade because they were wanting their cotton again. So they had to do something. Slavery was it. Abraham Lincoln had no intention at the beginning of that war of freeing anybody. All right, so slavery was not that big of an issue. And it was on its way out. Do your homework. You'll find it was indeed about economics and state rights. All right. And by the way, they had a constitutional right to secede from the Union. Yeah, it's in there. Being in the Union was voluntary. But keep in mind, 80 to 90% of all revenue taken in by the federal government during that time frame came from tariffs on exports of southern produced goods out of those Confederate states. What do you think would have happened up north if the federal government had to collect their money from them? Thus the Civil War. Thus holding on to Fort Sumter after giving all the other forts and ports back. They hung on to Fort Sumter, didn't they? And they waited to be kicked out and used that as an excuse for their aggression. That's why many people lost their lives from. And at the end of it all, totally destroyed the South, which was a big mistake on their part because it bankrupted the North too. Do your homework. But anyway, back to current affairs. That one just really ticks me when I hear that. It's the biggest lie told to the American public. And nobody's taken the time to go learn the truth. Need to. Honestly. You learn a little bit about your government. And what happened to your constitutional republic. It died in the Civil War. So, what do we got going on today? Well, the KKK is on the rise again, thanks to Antifa and the SJWs and all that. And it's really not all their fault. And you got the neo-Nazis come crawling out of the woodwork again. They had all pretty much disappeared after Skokie because it was kind of humiliating that they didn't want to go down there and get their butts kicked by the Jewish Defense League. Just all sorts of little stupid things like that have raised their ugly head again. These organizations had no limelight in this country. But who gave them the limelight? Well, Donald Trump got elected. Primarily because most people were sick to death of the progressive nonsense that's been going on in this country and was hoping for a change. We got change. We had the media jump on the bandwagon, and even the Democrats jumped on the bandwagon of, oh, he's a racist, he's a sexist, he's this, he's that. I don't know. Have you seen him do anything racist yet? I mean, is he trying to put anybody on plantations again? Is he trying to, wipe out the Jews? What's Donald Trump done that has made him this big racist? And of course, everybody that voted for him was racist. And, he's a Nazi. Although I've never seen him wearing a swastika or growing a little mustache. Okay? Yeah, doesn't hit me as being the Adolf Hitler type, but could be wrong. I mean, after all, mainstream media says, you could hear it on CNN. Yeah. Sexist? Yeah, he might be. Okay, deal with it. So he's not politically correct. Okay, I think it's pretty low life that somebody recorded a private conversation where two guys were joking around, and I think any lady that really gets down to reality know that sometimes guys do stupid stuff like that. It happens. It's kind of sophomoric, kind of high school, but it happens. And especially when they think it's a conversation between two individuals, they might get a little off color. And this little slime ball puts it out in public, trying to destroy his chances of becoming president. And the media has just climbed on the high horse. He's a racist, he's a fascist, he's a Nazi, he's a sexist, he's this, he's that. Oh man, they got a list. Okay? Mainstream media. And the Democratic Party's gotten on board too. Yeah. Barack Obama should go down in history as probably the most disgraceful president upon leaving office that we've ever had. His actions have been appalling. Okay? He should try to follow George Bush a little bit and just walk away. Just walk away. Your day is over. Your progressiveness is over. That's enough. This Antifa, yeah, Marxist communists. Very proud of that too. Although they won't tell you in public, yeah, because they don't want to be known as. So you got the communists out hunting Nazis. Man, sounds like World War II to me. These kids, okay, if you're a father and your son comes home and says he's part of Antifa, drag that boy outside and just beat the living snot out of him. He needs it. And let him know, I'll not tolerate a communist in my home. Especially a Marxist communist, because that is a genocidal idiot. That's what they are, folks. So be advised. These kids are violent. And sooner or later, people are going to act violent back to them. Don't be in the crossfire. Okay? Marxist communists. You've got the SJWs who want to be socialists. They're looking for a socialist utopia. You got the Marxist communists who are trying to tell you they're socialists, but they're not. And I had followed several of them that were ex-members who got old enough for all their brain cells to start functioning and realize, communism's not really a good idea. And Marxist communism is really a bad idea. These are the kind of people that killed a lot of Russians. Genocide kind of killed. This is what's going on, and our media is the one who's pushing the narrative. Now the media is beginning to back up from Antifa a little bit, and I think there's more to that story than what they've let out. I don't think suddenly the mainstream media, especially CNN, has suddenly gotten a conscience. I think maybe there's going to be something come out of this Charlotte stuff that they're not wanting to be too much associated with Antifa. I did read and heard reports of where these kids were attacking people as they were trying to leave. Right? And all over Civil War monuments, if you kids would really go out and study the Civil War. Matter of fact, go study Occupy Wall Street's documentation. Okay? It showed the connections of slavery to New York City banks and the businesses, okay, in the North. All right? They didn't have clean hands in slavery in the North. Many states were slave-holding states. All right? Many New York bankers and New York businessmen made a lot of money from slavery. They don't have clean hands. And that's by you people's Occupy Wall Street documentation. Take a look at it. And you're wanting to destroy monuments of the men who actually stood up against that kind of government? Just because they owned slaves and had slaves too? Hate to tell you, kids, most of the world did. It was disappearing, but most of the world did. All right? And the second thing is, people, if they would really go and look at some of the histories, now there was bad slave owners, and there was also good ones. A lot of times, a plantation overseer was black. He was a slave. The slave owner had trained and taught to oversee the fellow slaves. They were more humane operations. But I didn't live back then. I don't know if it was rule of thumb or not. Okay, slavery was wrong. Period. But it was being conducted all over the world. But the world was beginning to back away. Europe had backed away, which was the Confederate States' biggest customer. Okay? There was going to come a time when they were going to back away too. Look at the real reasons for the war, and you want to tear down the monuments of the men that was actually, that admitted Wall Street, Occupy Wall Street with his fighting against the establishment, because that's what they were doing. And you want to disgrace them like this? Shame on you. Learn your history first. True history. Okay? Not this whitewash junk that they're trying to put out in these universities. Alright? Get out of communism. It's not good. And ignore the KKK. Donald Trump is not a member of the KKK, I'm pretty sure. Okay? He's not a neo-Nazi. Pretty sure of that too. He may be a man that you didn't care to have elected. That's tough crap. That's the way it works. And everybody that voted for him is not a racist. Okay? Grow up. Parents need to be advised, and if you live in these cities, understand that these guys are beating the crap out of innocent people with ball bats. Use situational awareness, people. Stay out of those protests. Okay? That's what you're dealing with. Lions and tigers and bears are mine. Racists, Nazis, and communists. I'd say put them in a big park together and hand them all ball bats and see kids go for it. Take each other out, please. And then we can get on with rebuilding the nation. This is Red Tennessee Homestead. History is important. Know it. Talk to you later.